Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC 267 is this Saturday, and the entire main card of this event is just incredible. And this video is going to be a quick breakdown and prediction of every single fight on the main card. I've already done in-depth breakdown and prediction videos for each one of these fights, so if you're interested in longer videos on any one of these fights, I'll put the links for those in the description. But I wanted to have one video with all my UFC 267 predictions in one place because it's such a great card. So this video is going to be it. So the first fight on the main card is Magomed Ankalaev versus Volkan Ozimir, and I'm going Volkan Ozimir by decision. I just think his body of work. He's fought nothing but elite level talent at light heavyweight, and I think he gets overlooked because a lot of his losses. But every single one of those fights he was competitive in. He was brutally KO'd by Yuri Prochazka in his last fight, but he looked very, very good in that first round. He hurt Yuri. He has losses to Anthony Smith. He was winning early and faded late. He looked good against Daniel Cormier in the first round when he fought for the light heavyweight title a while back. And I just think Ozimir is the better striker. I think he's really strong in the clinch, and I think he has great takedown defense. And I think maybe if Ankalaev wins around here, I think maybe it'll be the third round. So I'll probably go 29-28 Ozimir. I think he'll be able to outstrike Ankalaev. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns. And I just think Ankalaev, he may very well be the future of the light heavyweight division, but he hasn't really fought anyone yet. Ian Cutelaba probably his best win, which was a great knockout. They were scheduled to fight a million times after that controversial first fight. But I just think Ozimir, he's not going to be able to get Ozimir down, and I think Ozimir is the better striker. So Ozimir by decision is my prediction for the first fight. The second fight on the main card is Hamza Chemaya versus JingLiang, and I am going Hamza Chemaya second round TKO. This is a great step up in competition for Hamza Chemaya. He's been out for over a year. He came in, he fought like 3 times in 2 months. He was supposed to fight Leon Edwards. That fight got canceled 3 times over, and now he's fighting JingLiang. He's finally returning. There were some worries he might retire for a little while there. But I just think, JingLiang has some good striking. He has great knockout power. He knocked out Santiago Ponzinibbio in his last fight, a brutal KO. But I just think Khamzat Chimaev's grappling is on another level. And JingLiang gets wild in the striking, gets off balance. I think Hamza Chemaya will be able to take him down or push him against the cage and drag him down. I think he will ground and pound him and finish him in the second round. And I just think that JingLiang, he's a great test for Hamzat, but Hamzat looks so sound even in the striking. And I know he's only the best opponent he's faced is Gerald Meerschaert. And usually in fights like this where a guy has a very limited body of work, I usually pick the other guy, the more experienced guy. But in this fight, Khamzat just looks so good. His grappling just looks next level. And JingLiang's having problems with the grappling of Neil Magny. So what do you think is going to happen in the Khamzat Chimaev fight? I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to be able to take JingLiang down with ease, ground and pound him, and finish him in the second round. I'm hoping Khamzat Chimaev comes back looking like the same Khamzat Chimaev he was in his Gerald Meerschaert fight or his Reese McKee fight. We know he was sick for a while, so that's kind of an X factor. I'm wondering what Chimaev's stamina looks like. But I just think Chimaev, has good enough striking where he can hang on the feet with JingLiang. And, it's not like he'll be desperate for a takedown. He doesn't absolutely have to get to this to the ground. I mean, that was a picture-perfect right hand he landed on Gerald Meerschaert. JingLiang has his hands low most of the time. So who knows? We might even see a finish on the feet for Khamzat Chimaev against JingLiang. But I can't wait for this fight. It should be incredible. I'm happy to see the return of Khamzat. Moving up the card, we have Alexander Volkov versus Marcin Tybura. And I'm going with another second round TKO for Alexander Volkov. I just think he's the overall better striker. He has a height and reach advantage. I don't think Marcin Tybura is going to be able to take him down. And the heavyweight division is probably the worst men's division in all the UFC. But there's levels to it. And there's a few guys I consider in that elite heavyweight class. And Alexander Volkov is one of them, and Marcin Tybura is not. Marcin Tybura is going to come in, try to take him down. And, I know that's the path to victory for most guys against Volkov. Curtis Blades did it a while ago where he just took him down and dominated him for 5 rounds. But I just don't think it's going to be successful, a successful game plan for Marcin Tybura. I mean, Curtis Blades is a great wrestler. Volkov, he lost that fight. He's been KO'd by Derek Lewis. I don't see Marcin Tybura putting him out like that. And I just think, the height, the reach, the striking is much better by Volkov. And Marcin Tybura, I just don't see him being able to get Volkov down. And that's how he's going to win this fight. Maybe I'm wrong. Every heavyweight has knockout power. but I just really see Volkov slamming those legs. He has great leg kicks. He has decent movement for a heavyweight as well. He has great striking. He has a great reach. It's not a crazy reach advantage over Tabora, but he has a great height advantage, and we've seen, a lot of the times in the past, shorter guys have trouble taking down, some of these taller guys with the height advantage, whatever the reason may be, leverage or whatever. But I just seen, Volkov really picking him apart early. Tabora's very, very tough though. And, Volkov doesn't have that one punch KO power. He has a finish over Alistair Overeem, but Alistair Overeem has the worst glass jaw I've ever seen in MMA. So I see Tabora surviving the first round, but Volkov's going to kind of, start picking him apart. The accumulation of strikes, the inside leg kicks, limiting the movement of Marcin Tybura. And I think eventually Volkov is going to find that finish in the second round. Moving up the card, we have another fight that I'm really looking forward to, and that's Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is coming into this fight on short notice. He just fought at UFC 266 against Nasrat Haqparast. He got a quality win there. It was a decision, but again, Nasrat's not the elite of the elite. Islam has looked very, very promising, and I know he hasn't fought, elite level competition, and this is his first real test at lightweight. Up to this point, I think his best win is Arman Sarukian. His last fight was against Thiago Moises. He finished him in the fourth round. But I just see Islam Makhachev winning this fight by decision. I think he's going to be able to take Dan Hooker down. I think he's going to be able to control him on the ground. I think it's going to be a kind of a boring fight. I think Dan Hooker can do some things. I think he can look for that step-in knee to negate the takedowns and maybe land something on Islam. Islam has been KO'd before. He has one loss on his record, and it was a KO loss to Adriana Martins. Maybe Dan Hooker can, recreate that. I don't know. He has some great tricky striking, but I just don't think Dan Hooker has that crazy elite striking that's really going to give Islam Makhachev such a problem. But we'll see. Islam has problems closing the distance. Sometimes he gets a little sloppy, leaves his chin out there. He has great takedowns. Once he gets to you, the level of grappler that he is, it's just shown to be elite and world class. There's a lot of comparisons to Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't know if he's in that class yet, especially not with his ground and pound, but I think he'll be able to get Dan Hooker down each and every round, avoid the striking just enough. Maybe he gets clipped a little bit, but I think, also Dan Hooker doesn't have, an ideal training camp. He's turning around a 1 month's notice after his last fight. Apparently didn't even have an ideal training camp for that fight either. So I just don't see him coming in there with the ability to stuff the takedowns of Islam Makhachev. So I think it's going to be a relatively boring fight. It's going to be fun when it's standing because Dan Hooker is going to be circling around, looking for a knee, looking for that KO strike. But I just think eventually Islam Makhachev will drag him to the ground every single round, beat him up on the ground, but it's not going to be enough to stop the fight. Dan Hooker is super durable. Maybe Islam Makhachev will be able to find a submission, but I just don't think that's going to happen. And I'm going with Islam Makhachev by decision. The next fight on the main card is the co-main event, and this is my absolute favorite fight on the entire card, and that's Pewter Yan versus Corey Sanhagen. And, Pewter Yan was originally supposed to fight Aljamain Sterling in the rematch after the DQ of the illegal knee in a fight that Pewter Yan was winning. And Corey Sanhagen wasn't supposed to get the next title shot because he's coming off a loss against TJ Dillashaw. But I feel like the MMA gods, whatever they did, they set the world right because I truly believe Pewter Yan versus Corey Sanhagen is the two best bantamweights in the world. They're fighting over the interim bantamweight title, but whoever wins this title on Saturday night is undoubtedly the best 135-pounder in the world, in my opinion. And I'm going with Pewter Yan via fourth round TKO. There's just too many things for Corey Sanhagen to overcome. He's coming in on short notice after a loss to TJ Dillashaw in a fight that I thought he won. And in that fight, there was a lot of red flags when you look at his potential matchup with Pewter Yan. TJ Dillashaw won that fight by clinching up, taking the back of Corey Sanhagen, kind of, knees to the legs, just controlling him. And what does Pewter Yan do very well? He does the exact same thing. He will duck under strikes, grab that back body lock, and just, even slam you to the ground or just beat up the legs. Sometimes he'll disengage, throw that high head kick. That's kind of how he knocked out Uriah Faber. And I just think that's going to be too much for Corey Sanhagen to overcome. We've seen in the Aljamain Sterling fight, Pewter Yan probably has the best grappling at 135, and he has a very high fight IQ. I know that's silly saying that just because of the illegal knee against Aljamain Sterling, but he picks his shots. He's so defensively responsible. He has such technical striking. And Sanhagen's going to come out there, look for those flashy techniques, those flying knees, those spinning back wheel kicks. But I just think Yan, I mean, his hands are always glued to his chin, and I don't see Sanhagen finding success with that. And on top of that, Yan is very good at catching kicks and taking you down. So, those spinning techniques, first off, Pewter Yan could find your back off of those spinning techniques. Then you have the kicks, whether it be the leg kicks, the body kicks. Sanhagen has great arsenal of attack. But I just think, when Jan's catching them and taking you down, it's going to limit your options. And, he's going to be beating up Corey Sanhagen's legs. Corey Sanhagen has great movement. But once Jan starts chopping those legs, it's not going to be good as the fight gets later on. And I think the grappling combined with the overall striking ability of Pewter Yan, he's going to be picking Sanhagen apart. Sanhagen will probably have his moments, but Yan will just dump him to the ground. He will get that back body lock, dump him to the ground. He won't even go down on top of him. He'll just stand up and start kicking the legs of Sanhagen while he's laying there until the referee stands him up. He did that in the Aljamain Sterling fight. And I just think Sanhagen's best chance to win this fight is to catch Yan flush with some type of super, crazy technique like a flying knee or a spinning back heel kick, catch him on the temple. And Sanhagen, he's looked great with these knockouts, but look at the guys he's knocking out. Frank Yeager, he's well past his prime and, has chin issues. Marlon Moraes, that one has aged terribly as he's been getting KO'd by everyone at this point, Rob Font and most recently Merab Dvalishvili. So I just don't think Yan is going to be the guy to get KO'd by Corey Sanhagen. And I think just Yan has the advantage everywhere except like the flashy strikes. But I think Yan will negate those with the leg kicks. He will catch the kicks and take him down. The back body lock he will use over and over and over again to wear Corey Sanhagen down. He will throw him to the ground. I just think he'll be able to ragdoll Corey Sanhagen. Corey Sanhagen's much taller than him, so maybe I'm wrong on this, but Pewter Yan is just the elite of the elite, and I think he's well on his way to be considered the best 135-pounder in the world ever. And I can't wait for this fight. Maybe Sanhagen pulls it off, but I just think there's too many factors going against him. All those things I mentioned, plus the fact that he's coming in on short notice, it just doesn't fare well when you're going against Pewter Yan. So let's get to the main event. We have Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira. What a great main event. Two older guys going against each other. Glover Teixeira's on a nice winning streak. Jan Blachowicz, what an amazing career resurgence. Glover Teixeira fought for the belt back in 2014 against John Jones. To make his way back to a title fight, 7 years later is absolutely incredible. And I think this is kind of a striker versus grappler matchup. Glover has some decent striking, but we know what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to come in. He's going to try to take Jan Blachowicz down, ground and pound him, look for a submission after softening him up. And I just think Jan Blachowicz is too smart for that. I think he picks his shots very well. He has great knockout power. And Glover Teixeira is getting kind of chinny. I know he's been KO'd in the past. He was hurt badly in the Thiago Santos fight, and Thiago Santos kind of gassed himself out looking for the finish. Jan Blachowicz is not going to do that. He's going to hurt you. He's going to keep that nice wide base, look for, ground and pound strikes to finish him. And he's not really going to get crazy and end up in a double leg position against Glover Teixeira and end up on the ground. I think Jan Blachowicz has looked incredible. He's coming off the win over Israel Adesanya. People consider him, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. A lot of people were picking Israel Adesanya just to beat up Jan Blachowicz. And I know a lot is made of Jan Blachowicz taking Israel Adesanya down and holding him down, but Jan Blachowicz was winning that fight on the feet as well. I know the commentary was a little bit biased, but Jan Blachowicz outstruck Israel Adesanya. And I just think, he has far better striking than Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira is going to be marching forward, looking for the takedown, get caught with a punch. And I really think this is going to be a second-round KO for Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz just has unbelievable power, the legendary Polish power. And I just think Glover Teixeira's chin can only take too much. He's slower. He's older. He's going to be 42 years old by the time the fight rolls around. And I just think Jan Blachowicz is going to be able to find that chin one way or another and put Glover Teixeira to sleep. And, I can't wait for this fight, but I just really believe that Jan Blachowicz has good enough defensive wrestling where he'll be able to keep Glover Teixeira off of him. I think he has good enough fight IQ where he's not going to get, crazy and gas himself out looking for a finish. He will pick his shots. If he does hurt Glover Teixeira, he's not going to follow him to the ground and end up out of position. And I just really believe that, this is probably going to be Glover Teixeira's last fight. If he loses, I think he probably retires 42 years old. Yan Blachowicz is the faster fighter, more power, and I just don't think Glover Teixeira is going to be able to take him down. So I can't wait for this fight. I'm super excited. They're my quick predictions for UFC 267. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to like the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.